Hey, happy Monday. My name is Crunk Chocolate. I said Monday, and now I've just immediately dated this for anybody who will not be watching on a Monday. But shout out to the people who are watching right now. This is End of Season Reports, part of Shades of Blues podcast, content season, streaming live and on FanFest. And all our Patreonies who are watching also, hi. Appreciate your patronage. $3 and $6 are the tiers of our Patreon. Subscribe to get fantastic content. Still streaming, still putting out stuff for you guys in the summer. More coming. Yeah, it's all season. That means we can all relax a bit on our tribalism. So here I am asking some of my favorite people about clubs in the Premier League and Women's Super League. Today, we talk those cottages, Fulham. We got to end the Premier League season together. And my show bro, Tarek, was at the match. It was his first match he's ever been to. Well, first, like, real game. We've gone to some off-season, preseason games here in the States. He had a wonderful experience. The Fulham fans, they showed up and showed out. They very much impressed him, made him also didn't. He said the vibes were immaculate. The vibes were great. So I can only imagine what grade he's going to give his supporters, because it sounds like Tarek would give him an A. So I don't see why our guest wouldn't. We've had him on before, and it was just a wonderful conversation. And here we are again to talk about Fulham's season. Give it up for Skibby of Fulham perspective. Or Putney perspective. Sorry, Putney perspective. Double P's.
Either or.
How are you?
No, thank you very much for having me. I'm feeling good. Like you say, it's the off season, meaning there is no stress, there is no tribalism, like you say. Not that we really have much kind of animosity against each other anyway. Nobody really cares about Fulham, apart from Fulham fans. So yeah, but like you say, it's great to be in a place where we're kind of in that nice little bubble, which is at the end of the season, where we don't really care about results. We're safe. We're in the Premier League for another season, but also we haven't got quite going into the transfer window and, you know, smacking our heads against the wall saying, why aren't the Khans bringing out their money? Why are they waiting until the end of August to sign some players? So we're in this nice little bubble, like I say, where it's all very calm. We're all very relaxed. And yeah, I'm feeling good, and I'm really happy to be on the show, and really look forward to sort of talking about the season that's just gone by.
For wrestling fans, they may know AEW All In is in Texas is coming up very soon, and that is one of their biggest show, if not their biggest show of the year.
Okay.
So what I would say is maybe that's where all their money is going right now. And independent, hey, and if that is an incredible success, which looking at the card and what they're trying to do, I think it is going to go very well. And who knows? They might go crazy just because of the success of All In. Yeah.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, if you believe the hype, then it's actually Man City that we have to thank for the whole sponsorship deals, which they've vetoed, I believe. So I think if we can now get AEW sponsoring Fulham, then the Khans can just use that little slipstream of, okay, we're going to punt like 500 million straight into Fulham. Hey, it's all sponsorship from AEW. We can't say anything. So
exactly. I'm shocked they haven't. I'm legitimately shocked that they haven't tried to figure out more ways. Yeah. Oh, is there? Okay, good. Because I'm so, like, jokingly, but also very serious. I mean, it's kind of what you have to do when you're podcasting. I've actually been saying for years, because everyone tries to come at me about the 115, and my flip back on them is like, you should be thankful. You should be appreciating us because of half of these sponsorship deals that are going around nowadays, the money that's coming into it. All of these transfers fees, because everyone blamed City on transfer fees being high. Like, there's so many things that people can get away with, and the money growing in the eyes, and it's all really not all, but it's a huge chunk thanks to City and their success, their run of success, and also just kind of battling UEFA, battling the FA, battling all of these different organizations who are trying to say that we're cheating with money, but now there's more like iffy deals, sketchy deals, hive money flowing, and like obviously, I'm sure some people wouldn't want to thank me for that, but if your team is, if you, what is it? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. That's like a NASCAR.
Absolutely.
Cheating. I also just like I kind of embrace the banter part of it. Like people are gonna believe whatever they want to think about us. So
You got to wear it as a badge of honor right now, I think.
Yeah.
And I mean, like we would say, if any of our clubs were in the same position, we'd be doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So what
do you want me to do? Just be like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We're the worst. Send us the championship. Like it's not what I'm gonna do. Oh my goodness. But we're here to talk about Fulham and the way that the show works. For people who are watching for the first time, there are 5 categories: kits, which we will talk about the home, away, and third; was squad, managers, supporters, and front office. Our guests will grade each category using the American grading system, which, if I can say bias, it is not even close to the best grading system. Like we do not have the best. I know I'm not stupid enough to think that. But it's A through F. Feel free to use pluses and minuses, and we'll just kind of talk about your thought process with all of that. And let's get into it. The kids. And a thing with Fulham, I say this with every single club. There's a certain color that your kit has to be. There's certain things that they have to have on it, and it's very tough to get something original, fun, creative, especially when it's like white, white and black.
Yeah.
But I think they did. This isn't a bad kit, the home kit. And I mean, I guess it also depends on how you feel about collars, because I actually like the collar and how they did it. Obviously, I have no idea what 3 bob top is, but who cares? Get that money again, like we were saying earlier. What is your grade on the kit and your thoughts?
So I think like you've hit the nail on the head. It's a white shirt. There's very little you can do with just a plain white. So we're not like, Newcastle, who are black and white stripes, or any kind of like checkers or anything. It is always just plain white. And if you go away from plain white, I think we did once when we were in the championship around sort of 2014, where we had this kind of like gray and white stripe. People hit the roof. They didn't like it. So we went back to plain white. And even now you get, so this year's kit, I'm sure you guys have looked it up and seen it, but you have these kind of red tails on the side of the shirt, and people even hated that. They're like, why have we got red on our shirt? And you kind of, and then I'm more of the other side, which is I need some little bit of creative spark, where it's kind of like I can just imagine them in an office, like put up a white shirt with the badge and obviously the Adidas kit sponsor, and then been like, okay, we're going to put this here, and somebody's just gone, absolutely not, get rid of that right now. And he's like, mate, I need to do something. But no, for me, definitely, I would say it's not like the best kit we've ever had. I think for me, I'm always, in 2004, we had this Dabs shirt, which was the badge was in the middle of the shirt. You kind of had a black sleeve completely. It was completely rewrote it from what we're used to. So that for me has always been the top. So for me, this would definitely be a B plus. It's a clean shirt. It's a nice shirt. And like you say, the collar, I'm a 90s kid, right? If I'm hitting the ball, hitting the back of the net, I'm doing a Cantona. So I would love to just pop the collar, take a look around. I am in my 30s now. I don't do that now, just so we're clear. No, I always think that the collar's a nice touch, and it just adds a bit more, something different. So like I said, it's a template which you can't really do much with, but if you are trying to create a nice classy shirt, collar is always a must for me. So yeah, definitely a B. But I mean, the away shirt, the black and red stripes, that's my jam. I love the black and red stripes. That's definitely an A. That's one of the best shirts I've seen, best away shirts I've seen for Fulham. if they were to go to like that A+ top tier, in the 90s we had black and red checkers, and that would be the top. But we're getting there. We're getting close with the away shirt being an A. And then I think the third shirt was just a very strange purple. Normally it's kind of like a black away shirt and a red third shirt. This year we just kind of done black and red in the away, and then added a third shirt being purple. Completely left field, but hey, it's a nice shirt. It's completely different, and like I said, I like to break the mold a little bit. So the third shirt for me being a B as well. But yeah, I mean, as a whole, as you look at the collection, I think they're pretty good kits, and no absolute monsters in there. I'm happy with it. The only gripe that I do have across the whole board is that we don't get these custom Adidas kits like, you know, the Liverpools and the Man Uniteds get. I think Liverpool are Nike now anyway, but you know, we get the templated Adidas stuff. So you'll probably see our shirt being similar, made to like the Benfica shirt or Besiktas in Turkey, for example. So it is a shame that we don't get that kind of creative spur, like creating something for Fulham. But hey, they're still clean shirts nonetheless.
I can't argue. Well, and especially the third one, it's just like a multi-purple camo type of vibes. And maybe that was a test run. If it does well enough, they're like, okay, we can trust it. Because yeah, I don't think I remember many like third kits from Fulham are doing anything too crazy. If you keep up the success, who knows? Who knows? I think I'm pretty sure that that's kind of what it is like how much interest should they give, and if the team
Hopefully
keeps climbing and doing successful and selling more shirts, anything is possible. Next thing is Fulham collect it, and it's just like streetwear. Like it's on the way. Oh,
I quite like the fact that we have 3 shirts, whereas if it's like Arsenal, I think Arsenal release a new shirt every month, every 2 months, and that just gets too much. I lose track. People I play football with, they turn up in different shirts, and I'm like, oh, is that like last season? They're like, no, this is like our November away shirt. And you're like, what are you on about? There's too many.
It is. We have an Arsenal podcast in our network, and they jokingly call Arsenal Fashion Club.
For good reason.
Yes, exactly. Okay, let's move on to the manager, Marco Silva. I for sure thought he was going to get snagged from someone maybe going to Tottenham. They decided to go Thomas Frank. So unfortunate for my Brentford fans, because I have no idea where they're going to go after a great manager. Like,
I'm happy. I'm ecstatic by that.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that I feel like they talked to Silva, Areola, and Frank, and Frank's probably seemed like the best bet for them, whether he was the one who was most interested in leaving or more affordable or had a better plan. Who knows how they come up with these decisions. But yeah, I'm big fan of Marco Silva. He plays his football. He obviously gets the most out of his players. And I mean, who cares what I think about him? Like, what are your thoughts on him? What's your grading? How did he do this season?
I think he did exceptionally well, given that we've got one of the lowest wage structures in the league. We lost, 2 years ago, we lost Mitrovic, never really replaced a striker. We brought in Raul Jimenez, who was an aging. I don't think he scored in about 6 months or so for Wolves. We brought in Rodrigo Muniz, who was at this club when Mitrovic was here, but he wasn't really played much, and we saw glimpses of, but he became a bit of a cult hero because he didn't really do the real incredible stuff. He would sort of do the odd goal against a championship opposition, and then he was a trier. But for Marco to then sort of trust in those two players to sort of take us forward without Mitrovic, that was a real. I commend him for it, and I think that's really amazing because I mean other managers could have a knee-jerk reaction similar to what Bournemouth did. I think that they went out, they bought Evan Nilsson, fair enough, great player, but they went and spent 50 million straight away. Marco didn't do that, but we still managed to have a better season or a very good season without Mitrovic. And then obviously this summer just gone, we lost Polina. So we had a massive hole in the middle of the midfield. I think we brought in about 60 million for that. But again, we didn't have that kind of knee-jerk reaction. We just looked at, in the end, Sander Berge came in to sort of fill that gap, and a 20 million pound player. So that was a really good signing, I believe.
Yes.
But again, that's more down to Silva, what he managed to achieve. So this was actually our records point total this season with 54. So he's taken us to not our highest ever league finish, but our best in terms of points. So that's all down to him. But I think that he's shown that he's got room to grow with Fulham, which is even more exciting, is that, he's building something and he doesn't seem to really sort of throw everything into one way of playing, which I really like. So this season we've sort of mixed it up with 4 at the back. We switched to 5 at the back when we played Chelsea away, and we won that game 2-1. And I just think that you can see why there's a lot of sort of suitors who were looking at Marco Silva, being Spurs. I think they were looking at Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia. They tried to offer him about £25 million this season, which he turned down. There's also been talk of Benfica looking at him as well, because I think they were at risk of losing their manager. So I get why he's got suitors. But at the other end, I also see why people, maybe not the Saudi don't care. They just want the name. But I can see why he was potentially overlooked for Spurs, and potentially why he was overlooked at Benfica, just because I see elements of the way that Marco plays or gets the team playing, which quite annoys me a little bit. He has questionable subs. He doesn't like to make changes too early on. He can wait until like the 80th minute to really make any changes, and before then, the game's gone. But I know people are going to probably watch this and look at the stats and say, "Oh, but we had 17 players come off the bench and score, or 17 goals off the bench this season, which is the most in the Premier League." We also had the most points from losing positions, which is again fantastic. But if you also look at the other end of the stats, we lost the most points from winning positions as well. So his game management isn't there, and I think that's something which he's definitely going to work on, and hopefully is something which he will perfect going forward. But he's just not quite there yet to sort of see us over the line, because I think there was a lot of times where Europe was really on our doorstep, and we could have really taken that, and all we had to do was take the game by the scruff of the neck and get points against Southampton, Leicester, all those teams really fighting at the bottom of the table. And I remember our only 0-0 this season was against Southampton at home. It was an awful performance, but it's just almost that way of getting his players to break that low block. And I don't think it's down to the squad so much. I think it was more about setting up the team, and I think that's down to Silva. And the biggest gripe for me was conceding from set pieces. We conceded a lot from set pieces. He really relied on zonal marking, but it just didn't work. I hate zonal marking. It's the worst. Especially, I get it if it works for you, right?
Oh my gosh.
If it's working for you, absolutely fine. But there was some games, I believe. One of the goals was against. I think may have been the penalty against Brentford. No, it was a goal for Brentford. It was when Fisser scored, and at the back post was their one of their biggest centre mids, I believe, in Nordgaard, potentially something along those lines. But he was battling with like Smith Rowe, someone really tiny, and I'm just thinking, hang on, you've got their biggest central defensive midfielder here. Why is Sander Berge not on him? Why is Lukic not on him? Why is Bassi not on him? Why is someone who's at least over 6 foot not on this player? And you just get caught out in those sort of instances. And I'm just thinking, he just seems to be so stubborn that he just doesn't think that, okay, for this game, we're going to go man to man just because we're so terrible at zonal marking. But it's just flogging a dead horse. It just keeps on going, keeps conceding, and it just annoys me. So, I mean, if we're able to break down the small teams and defend set pieces a bit better, then absolutely A+. He would be probably Tottenham's new manager at this moment in time. But for those reasons, I gave Marco a B, because I think there's definitely room for improvement, but don't get me wrong, he still had a fantastic season.
Hey, and B isn't bad. I that stat is crazy. The most goals by a substituted player, but also most comebacks, but also giving away the most. Yeah, you just truly have no idea how to. Once the 75th minute hits, you're basically just like, this could go either way. That reminds me of the October to December that City had, where they went winless, like 3 whole months where we didn't win a match. Lots of draws, but also a lot of losses. And what one of the experiences that sticks out very much is I drove to Chicago, which is like a 3-hour drive, and they were playing. It was a Manchester derby, and Man City was doing like this giant trophy tour with a couple of their trophies. It was like a world tour, and they were ending in Chicago. So they rented out this cool room, and they basically made it feel like you were in the Man City locker room. They had like the walls and the boots and stuff, and they did like a conversation, like a SWP, and Casey, she's like a Man City gamer and does a lot of their social media content. She interviewed Sean Wright Phillips. There was like a post-match thing. It was a lot. And I brought my buddy who's actually, he covers the Bundesliga. But anytime I'm in Chicago, I'm just like, come on, fool, you're going to join me. The game was at like 8 a.m. So I had to leave my house at like 5 in the morning. City women played before that against Everton, lost that match, which they should not have. And so I was already in a poor mood. It was raining. And then that was City were leading for most of the match and then capitulated and ended up losing, which was gave the ball over. And Nunes, that was back when he was just a full back, ran back and took out, I think it was Diallo, and gave away a penalty for United to pull away at the end. And I'm watching the game, and City's in the lead, but I just told my friend, I told him at the beginning of the match, hey, when it hits like 70, 75 minutes, I'm just going to go over there and pace. and he thought I was joking until I was like, hey, I'm going to go over there and pace. And sure enough, I'm freaking out, and then it happens, and I just look at him, just like, see? 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 Oh my gosh. That was one of the more stressful few months of my life. I could only imagine that being a whole season. So shout out to you.
I was going to say, imagine that being a whole season.
Yes.
Where we could pop up with a 95th minute winner, or we could lose it in the 95th minute. It was absolute roller coaster, but
brutal. Oh man, I forgot to do the topic change for manager, so I won't forget for the next subject. It is the squad. Hey, I very much enjoy some of your players on your squad. They can be ballers. I feel like it matches the manager. You know, sometimes his consistency can kind of struggle, and it's very similar to some of the players on your squad. What are your thoughts on the squad, and what grade would you give them?
I think, again, it comes back down to this. We've got one of the lowest wage structures in the league, so we don't really expect too much. But the fact that, you know, we were within touching distance of the top half finish, touching distance with Europe as well. I mean, this squad really overachieved, and I think it is credit to Marco as well, but I think there was also the belief in the players. So for people like Ryan Sessegnon, picked him up for free, came off the back of a torrid time at Spurs with injuries and just never really hit the heights, and for him to come in and become a real threat in front of goal for us towards the end of the season was massive. And I think it was just a lot of kind of players like that, which meant that we didn't really miss that kind of star player. I was expecting a bit more, if I'm honest, from Smith Rowe, given he sort of brought him in for 35 million, you know, off the back of Arsenal. You really thought he would be that kind of person that I'd be talking about right now, saying, you know, everything that he did, everything he touched turned to gold. Everything we did was through him. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But it didn't falter us because we had people like Sessegnon. I would like to say that Harry Wilson as well. He was popping up with goals, and probably one of the best stints of um, in the for him in a Fulham shirt in the Premier League. So again, Iwobi, people you don't really just expect them to be these kind of stars, but they all kind of played their part and got us to where we needed to be. So I think that was a fantastic thing. So I would give the squad overall a B plus. I think there was probably some underachievers. I think there were some moments where I feel like we could have seen a bit more from players like Smith Rowe. I think Muniz deserved a bit more of a run in the team. He didn't really have as many starts as he deserved. And I think there was just also a little bit of injuries as well. So Robinson, Jedi being one of them. I mean, he was absolutely on fire the first half of the season with 10 assists from left back. But unfortunately, he then needed knee surgery around January, but didn't actually get that until about 2 weeks ago. So it's just one of those things. But I think for me, if there was one real change or improvement that I would have made, is that real creative player in the center of the park, because we had Lukic and Berger, who are fantastic defensive midfielders. We tried Andreas Pereira next to them, but he was just not quite up to par. He was normally in that number 10 role, which Smith Rowe took. But if we had that kind of Tielemans type player who could sit next to the defensive mid, who could really pick teams apart and unlock some doors for us, I think we'd probably be saying that this squad would be an A. It just seems to be that little spark that we were missing. And I think a stat that I saw was our chance creation in the center of the pitch was 3%. Everything that we were doing was forced down the left, or anything else was down the right by just sheer luck, I think. But I just missed that kind of player who could take the game by the scruff of the neck, unlock some doors, kind of like the De Bruyne type. I mean, maybe a little bit deeper than De Bruyne, but I'm not saying that we need to sign him or someone of that caliber. But it's just someone who can pick up the ball from the CDM, drive, play it into the feet of the striker, and just really make things happen from the middle. That would probably bring this squad to an A. But I still think that it was a fantastic season, and I do think that the players played their part. I don't think there was really anyone in the squad who faltered and really caused us to drop any points. I think there's no real blame, but I think the squad definitely a B plus, but definitely a room for improvement if we had that centre mid.
Most definitely, because I mean, kind of knew if you could shut down Anthony and Iwobi, what much more creativity wise would they be able to do? Yeah, and it's unfortunate because if you just had someone in the midfield, your Tielemans is a great shout, but just because even with Willian, he doesn't have that pace or to be able to do what he used to do, understandably. But if you had someone who could catch him when he's in a run, even same thing with Traore, he's most effective when he's already in motion. He can kind of get the ball and kind of play with speed and moving around, getting the defenders, maybe catching them flat-footed. That's what I was trying to say. And if you are able to get somebody in the midfield that would, so I assume that that's probably something that they're looking at, I guess. How is the summer? Is it are there any players that are like loosely tied to you? Like I know you say that they always have to wait till the last minute. But I don't know if they're how the situation is going so far this transfer window.
Well, we've already apparently lost our right back. So Kenny Tete has gone potentially on free to Everton. Didn't offer him enough money, which I'm kind of okay with in a way. I don't want us to overspend for the sake of overspending. He's nearly 30, so he wanted a 3-year deal. I think he wanted 60 to 70k a week, which is a vast improvement on what we were paying him anyway. So I think right back, there's a lot of talk already. Kyle Walker-Peters from Southampton on a free. I believe there's like a lot of clubs who think that he's signing for them, but at least we now have a a spot now which basically says if you sign for us, then you will be, the main right back for us. So hopefully that works in our favour. As for the centre mid part, I don't think there's really any links as such. I think there's definitely a lot of talk around wings. I know the hierarchy says that they want a goal scoring winger. We thought we had that with Reece Nelson, but he sort of injured himself, did both hamstrings.
Oh,
In the sort of around, I think he came back from doing his left hamstring and then did his right straight after.
oh my
So
God.
he was out for the season. But so he was only on loan. But I know there's been a lot of names thrown around. I think a very jokey one was Raheem Sterling. I think he would be a great kind of loan if we can get him on less than 100k a week. But he's that kind of caliber that we want in my eyes. I think it's very sort of early days. Our club, they love a deal. The Khans love a deal. So therefore they wait towards the end of the transfer window. That's when the players say, well, I want to move. Then we get someone on the cheap. But it frustrates fans. It does frustrate the fans. And I think it frustrates Marco as well, because he wants them in for pre-season,
of course,
getting up to speed. So the running joke with Fulham fans at the moment is, August is a write-off. August is our pre-season with our new players, I would say. And then we kind of hit the ground running come September. But it's going to be an exciting transfer window. I think there's a lot of change expected. I think Andreas Pereira is expected to leave. Tom Kearney is expected to leave. His deal is up. And Harrison Reed as well. So there's a lot of these sort of core dressing room players who have been around for the last sort of 4 years who we need to replace. And I think, it's just going to be a lot of change going on, and hopefully for the better. And hopefully we're not picking up those sort of Kyle Walker type players who, have been around, available to free on really high wages, but, we've got no one else. So we have to go pick them up. But, it's going to be an exciting summer, and quite a nervy summer as well.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we were only asking for like $7 million for Kyle Walker. So he would be very affordable, like you said. The weekly wages that might be a little much, but hey, you would have a Premier League, technically a legend. Is he still at that heights? No, but
no.
No.
I'll politely decline and pass him on to the next one. I think that's the phrase here.
Yeah.
Thank you, but no thanks.
I completely understand.
I mean, you should know his agent. It sounds like you're trying to
Could I possibly interest you in a Calvin Phillips? He can play center back as well as a defensive midfield. I
did watch a bit of Ipswich last year, so no.
Dang it. Oh man, no, completely understand. I enjoyed Tete because he was pretty the fact that he's going to Everton, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. He strong defensively. You know what you're going to get from him. He's pretty consistent, but he does have, I call it silly steak. He is prone to eating a really big silly steak and making a mistake or getting like an untimely red card or something like that. Well, I hope for the best with your summer. I'm going to be paying attention to that. Yeah. All right. Next topic. Supporters. I particularly enjoy talking to people like you who are going to the matches and have a much better feel of the supporters, because obviously online supporters, they're always gonna, I guess, tend towards the angry, vitriolic type of fan base, just because that's how social media is. But you're in the stands, you're with the people, you're the chanting, you have a better pulse. So how did the supporter fan base do over the season, and what grade would you give them?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because Fulham, and it may upset some people, but it's the truth, right? We're not known for being the loudest supporters. We're not known for being the most diehard, cutthroat kind of, you could go into a home pub and there'd be an opposition fan sitting there, and you're just like, oh, hey, how you doing? You're looking forward to the game, and they're like, suddenly their backs up straight away, like, what are you doing? But for me, the fans will always be an A, and I think it doesn't matter on because they turn up week in, week out. They turn up. They were there throughout the hard. It's the same, and you see the same faces as well. So through the hardship, you see the same faces. You see the same person who's going up to, I don't know, Newcastle away on a Saturday, and then may turn up at, I don't know, Aston Villa away on a Tuesday. So 3 days between them. It's the same dudes that you see. So, and I would say that there's always been a decent following. It's always been amazing. And for me, the Brentford home game would be like the A plus, because the Wilson scoring in the 92nd minute. Yeah, that was great celebrations. That was phenomenal voice from the Fulham fans. And then for him to score again in the 96th minute to beat Brentford, there was fans on the pitch. There was things being thrown. I don't know where I can. Well, I lost. I blacked out. I was just in euphoria. But I just remember the noise being absolutely incredible, and then just a fan being on the pitch like screaming in Kearney's face, and that was just fantastic to see. But it wasn't even like those sort of games. I think there was the atmosphere for Crystal Palace at home in the Cup, FA Cup quarter-final. Yeah, we lost the game, but the run up to that game, or the run up to kickoff, and just the noise before kickoff, something I'd never seen before. So I mean, the Fulham fans really, really pulled out the stop, and I think people would rank it mainly just on atmosphere alone. But I think we are the nicest supporters in the league. That you can sit there after a game. You may beat Fulham, but you could sit there in a pub afterwards, and then they'll talk to you. They'll even, well, I will, but most of the Fulham fans that I know will talk to you and say, and be quite realistic. If again, like we talk about Man City game, yeah. Edison had some great saves, but realistically, did we deserve to win the game? No. Am I going to be disgruntled at the end of the game with you because you beat us? Not really. It's a realism aspect which I think a lot of Fulham fans hold, and I think that's something which a lot of fans could potentially learn from. If I'm honest, I remember when going up to Man United away, and we lost, and I was okay with it because we didn't take our chances. Man United did, is what it is. But because I was wearing a Fulham jacket, I wasn't allowed to go in this pub, and I was like, well, I only want to drink, and I'm not going to say anything. And they were like, oh, no, you can't come in because, it's home fans only. And you're like, okay. But if you did that down at Fulham, they wouldn't care. And I think that's just something which, and I like to debrief with the opposition fans at the end of the game, because I can imagine, especially that game where I think it came off Xerxes' shin in like the 80th minute and they won 1-0. I think if you had a debrief with them, I'd actually feel better because they know they didn't deserve to win that game. I know they didn't deserve to win that game. And therefore, you can just kind of laugh about it. Exactly. But I just feel like the whole cutthroat, diehard piece is something which a lot of fans don't have. And I'm glad that Fulham don't have that. I'm a Fulham fan first, but I am a football fan second. I do love to talk about all things for football. So I think if more fans were like us, then it would be much, much happier, and we can sort of have a drink together and discuss the game. I think it would be great. So I'd give our fans A plus, whatever the highest tier in this is. Just because we are the best.
Let's go. And I'm with you. Even like I joke about this being the off season, so we can turn off the tribalism. I mean, we have a freaking Arsenal podcast in our network now, and I've always enjoyed talking the other clubs to the people who support those clubs. Like I can banter and I can give my thoughts on these teams, and I pay attention to everyone as much as I can, but there's definitely going to be parts that I'm going to miss, or takes that I don't have because I'm not constantly tapped into this club. I had somebody throw the biggest temper tantrum that I was doing. I had somebody on to talk Manchester United, and they're just like, I could never do a rag cast. And I was like, are you fucking two? What are we doing? Like, it's a one-off. Don't watch it. You're fine. Like, what if we like? I just blocked the person because honestly, they only comment bullshit anyway. Like, they don't. I'm pretty sure they don't listen. You need those haters technically, but they just this particular hater seems to only bring other haters. So I was like, all right, let me just finally block you guys. I just like talking football, and yeah, because I've heard that I would never go in. So like I would love to go into a opposing team's pub, yeah, like you said, to have those conversations, but I would never purposefully like go to the home end in like my city gear. Like I would never do anything like that on purpose. Like if I bought a ticket and then it happens, I'm gonna have to explain it like a million times. But I'm sure once they hear my American accent, then actually I don't know, it probably actually get worse depending on the circumstance. It can actually get worse for me. But I feel like once they would hear my accent, they're like, oh no, he worst case they'd be like, he's dumb, he doesn't get it, and I will totally be like, yep, I'm dumb, I don't get it, I'm just here to say Go City. Obviously I like the tribalism up to where now we're fisticuffs, now we're fighting, like the no thank you, like let's do our little shit talking, let's hardy our heart, let's have some fun. But I mean, we're drinking beers, like how serious should it get right now? Like let's focus on the pints.
No, absolutely. And I think I would say in the stadium, yeah, fair enough. Home and away split, that's fine. But like outside pubs, things like that,
move on.
Yeah, exactly. The game's done, if anything. So I mean, just enjoy it and debrief. You feel better after a debrief. I can really vouch for that.
Mm-hmm. I grew up playing rugby, and rugby that's the first thing you learn is on the pitch you want to murder that person across from you, but the second that whistle blows you shake their hand, and like worst case you're just like, motherfucker, you hit me good, and then you're going and you're having beers, you're literally having beers with them post-match.
Exactly.
So like that was one of the things. There are a few things growing up playing rugby first and then slowly learning and loving football. There, I feel like I have a nice middle ground where obviously I enjoy the whole pints, partying, that fun perspective of it because they have that in rugby also. But there are some gentlemanly parts of rugby, and I think I'd like to believe I've taken some of that with me over there. Okay, well, let's keep it moving to the final topic, the front office, the money spenders, the decision makers. What grade would you give them and why?
Big fat F. If there was anything lower than an F, I'd give it. Just because we are the most out of touch club right now with the fans, and it's all due to whoever is making the decisions from the CEO. I don't think it's the Khans. I think they've employed people to run the club for them. But, they've probably set the CEO some targets, and the way that he meets those targets is just not anything to do with the football that I fell in love with 25 years ago, or even longer. We have the highest season ticket price in the league at £3,000 or something ridiculous for the Riverside. And everyone's saying, "Oh yeah, but that's just on the newsstand. If you go to anywhere else in the stadium, it's still pretty cheap." It's not getting that way. So I've been a season ticket holder now for on and off 15 years. I had to give up my season ticket in 2016 because I had to move abroad for work. When I came back, I tried to reinstate my season ticket. It had gone up around 20-25% since and then now we're really pushing due to even the renewals now. So I've been a season ticket holder in the second stint now for 2 years, but this renewal was so close to £1,000 for a seat. It's not even funny. I've even written to the club saying, I know people that are paying close to £600 in the same area as me, but just because they didn't have that break, which I was forced to do, then, is that fair? Is that fair that I should be treated this way? Didn't get a reply. Well, didn't expect one. But at the same time, they've increased the season ticket prices. They've reduced the amount of season tickets over time. So the American way, we don't want we want tourists to come for the day. We want the tourists to come in, spend, all their money in the club shop. They want to spend all their money on food and even the match tickets. So before I reinstated my season ticket, I was a member. So it was £50 to become a member. Not the end of the world. But the average ticket price was around £70, which, probably doesn't sound a lot when you sort of compare it to like NFL and things like that. But for Fulham, which I've always paid 30 quid, 35 quid for a ticket, it's astronomical. And the Fulham Supporters Trust have raised it countless times. And they say, you need to review your ticket pricing. And every time we see the notes from, the club, it's always, we reviewed the ticket price and we believe it's adequate. We believe it's in line with our things. And it's just like, you're not listening.
Yeah.
And it's just the amount of times that you get this bullshit, PR response of, these are the prices, which is adequate to our goals as a club. And it's in line with other Premier League teams, which is absolute lie. They just don't seem to get it. And we keep raising it. We keep getting the same response and it just gets tiring. And at the moment, we're just dealing with it. We're just accepting it. There's been a lot of times where we've tried to, protest and things like that, but it's just not going to hurt them. They're selling tickets. If any of your diehard fans don't want to go to the game, some tourist will. And unfortunately, we're in a place now where if you're a Premier League team in London, when it's easy to get tickets, but for an astronomical fee, people are going to pay it because they're only in London for, say, a week or 2 weeks. Then they're just going to turn up to Fulham because they can get a ticket easy enough. And two, it's actually cheaper than trying to go on StubHub or whoever and buy a Spurs ticket for 300 quid or an Arsenal ticket for the same price. So
yeah,
it's just that distance between the club and the ownership and the front office is just so huge right now, and it's just not getting any better. And I know that the Premier League have instructed teams to bring in these fan advisory boards, which I know that is across the board. You have X amount of people from local, you have some international people as well, but you read what they talk to the club about, and you're like, what are you doing? None of them have taken on board anything that the Fulham fans want to talk about. They just seem to. I think I read one of the meetings. They'd been in place for about a year, and one of the meetings notes said something like they had agreed on a way forward on what day they were going to meet, or something along those lines. And I was like, it took you a year to work out what day you want to meet, and I didn't see anything about ticket prices, which has been a huge bugbear for a lot of Fulham fans. So, yeah, the front office are causing a lot of issues. I mean, this is probably going to blow your mind. So season ticket renewals were 2 weeks ago. The waiting list opened up last week, and now season tickets went on general sale this week. So anyone can now buy a season ticket at Fulham. So any other club in the Premier League, there's a waiting list of, I reckon, about 30 to 40,000 people waiting to purchase a season ticket. Will probably wait about 10 years. Fulham, you could buy one today. Go onto the website, you can buy a season ticket, no problem at all. It will cost you about 1,100 quid, but you can buy it. And what I found really funny is that I think that's what's happened is it went through the waiting list, not saying that it was about 3,000 people or 30,000 people, but the waiting list, people got access, saw what the price was and said no.
No, thank you.
And it's just baffling. Like if you're a Premier League club in London and you're selling season tickets, and they reach general sale, you're doing something wrong. Because you're going to lose all the atmosphere that you've created. So the back of my stand is basically where all the singers are and all the people who create the atmosphere. All those seats are available on general sale this year.
Oof.
So that is a problem, and that is a genuine problem that the club have created, and they created it for themselves by grossly increasing ticket prices astronomically. The people can't afford to come anymore. And you're going to lose the atmosphere because of it, and you're going to lose fans. And next generation fans as well. So,
Yeah.
I don't have any children yet, but when I do, can I afford to bring a child to the game? Probably not, because I'm spending all the money on my ticket.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's moments where they're really losing touch with the fan base, and yeah, like I said, in the UK we have A to F grading, but we also have a U, which is basically like you didn't even get to a point; it was ungradable, so you didn't even get a point where we could give you a grade. That's what I would give them. So I would give them a U for
Let's
ungraded.
go. I completely understand. Like being an American, yes, we are just ground to a pulp thanks to capitalism. We do not enjoy it at all. I can't tell you the last time I've been to a professional like NBA, NFL match. And if I have, it was because either the team was shit or yeah, that's basically it. And so I was able to get a cheap ticket. And also I'm a big like fight the machine. I hate the fact that capitalism is really starting to take over football. Man City, they've been going at it with the fan base this year. They protested a lot, and they got the team to drop the prices 54%. That is significant. It's just like, okay, so you could have done this the entire time. And it makes people, there's still things that they need to do because they also have been taking away season tickets. And there's this weird rule that if you have season tickets, you personally have to be at 10 of the games. You have to be at, I think it's like 17 total, 19 total. You have to personally have someone in that seat, and then you personally have to be at 10 of them. But also it's like, how can you prove that it's me? Like now it's getting like surveillance state.
Oh God.
It's very, and also the fact that they're putting more and more games on broadcast when the season, like the schedule just came out for next season, but it said in the asterisk when it was announced, all games due to change. So it's like, how do you expect me to come to every game knowing that, hey, you have me on here for a Saturday day game, but 3 days before, all of a sudden it can become a Sunday night game. Like it even though I'm very far away, I couldn't imagine, because what if I spend $1,500 just to fly there, a few $100s for a hotel, all this other things that I do just for them to, oh, sorry, city, the weather's changed. Now we actually think that Sky said that city would make more money on this day at this time, so we're actually going to move it real quick. And I feel for the everyday fan base, just for every club. And yeah, I agree with you. It is getting insane when it comes to Fulham. That was actually the biggest thing when I was looking at the tickets, and it was a big topic of conversation. I was trying to, I got myself in trouble because I was trying to like bring understanding to City situation. Even though we make so much money commercially and sponsorships, yada, yada, advertising, marketing, blah, 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 we are, when it comes to the top teams in the world, match day, we're like eighth, ninth. And the only way to grow that is by raising ticket prices, unfortunately. So I understood that. But then when you look at our prices compared to a Fulham, compared to an Arsenal, compared to a Liverpool, it's a significant price difference. Like we're much cheaper than Fulham. Like there was no reason why Fulham should be so expensive. But then you look at it, okay, only 29,000, a little under 30,000 seats available. Maybe that's why the tickets are more expensive. But you should never be pricing out your fan base, and learning that they now have general season tickets available. That should have like warning sign. Like they should be like freaking out and trying to figure out what they need to do to get those sold. And I hope they're able to figure it out. I'm sorry that you're going to lose your fellow singing buddies, because that, like you said, that is the energy. I will admit, when I came to City, when I went to the match against Brighton, I bought a polo, a jacket. I bought all these things because it was my first experience. Next time I go back, I probably won't buy as much stuff. I might get a kit, because the kits are technically cheaper at the stadium than they are like buying it through a website and shipping and stuff like that. But I'm not going to definitely go as crazy as I did my first time. So there's only so much you can get out of the tourists, especially when that becomes a reliance instead of being like, oh, nice. We expect 15-20% of our people to be tourists, so that's going to be a nice little boost. But now when you're starting to expect 30, 40, 50% of your fan base to be a tourist, that now starts becoming a gamble instead of like a supplement. And I just really hope they can get their shit together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Nailed it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you for your time. Wonderful conversation about Fulham. Before we get you out of here, please plug yourself. Let people know where they can find you and the things that you do.
Yeah, no problem. So you can find me at Putney Perspect on X and Blue Sky. I'm also part of a podcast of That's So Craven. So you can find Craven Pod on YouTube, Twitter, X, Blue Sky. So be sure to listen to that if you're a Fulham fan, or even if you're not. If you want to learn about Fulham, probably not the right people to come to, but there you go. It's always worth a good listen. It's always a good laugh. But yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. I'm still calm, but we'll go into next season, hopefully, trying to break that top 8.
Yes, let's go. Well, Shady Gang, I will be back later today where we will be welcoming on Lynn to talk some Leicester City women. But until then, you know the vibes. Shady Gang, Shady Gang, Shady Gang.